because I have stuff to do. It's a beautiful day. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, so I have stuff that I have to get done outside. But I wanted to address this whole James Franco thing. If you go look at the profile picture, I simply Googled that, and that's what came up. James Franco has left 4 videos now on TikTok, and suggesting that he's trying to involve himself in the same thing as Isaac Kappy did. And I bring up Isaac Kappy because I think that's the reason why this is happening. First of all, watching James Franco's videos, the fact that he first comes off and says, I'm not a liar, I'm not trying to sell anything, blah, 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 is first of all a red flag. A liar will always tell you how they never lie, how you can trust them. Second of all, he's speaking in fucking code. That's what they always do. What's next? Is he going to start doing quatrains? Because that's what they did for QAnon. You compare the shit that came out with QAnon compared to Nostradamus's quatrains, they're the same damn thing. It's the same damn thing. And so this is what I personally, because I went to bed, I actually reached out on TikTok, but then TikTok wouldn't let my message go through. I think that that was Providence, because I went to bed last night. I went to bed early. Fuck, I went to bed at 4 o'clock. I fell asleep at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then woke up at about 3:30 this morning. I think 12 hours plus worth of sleep is enough sleep for a person. Just personally, me. That's just me. But when I woke up this morning, I started thinking about it. And what I think is the whole Isaac Kappy situation is coming back to the forefront. And people are now once again, starting to talk about Isaac Kappy. And I know that on a personal level, because people are seeking me out on a personal level because of the work I did with Isaac. And so I think that they have employed James Franco to actually be another Corey Feldman, you know? Seems like he's a hero, like he's exposing stuff, but not really. If you were so concerned about people listening to you in your house, why do you whisper? What, they can't hear you if you whisper in your house? If you were going to do videos and you were so concerned that people were listening to you, wouldn't you just leave your house and do it someplace else? It seemed incredibly, there was too many theatrics to it. There's too many theatrics to it. And this is what I assume. He's going to start talking about kind of the same stuff that Isaac Kappy talked about. And then all of his fucking indiscretions, and he has several, he has a plethora of indiscretions that are going to come to the forefront. And what they want to do is take those indiscretions and use that to direct away from the whole child trafficking, because that's what he's suggesting. I have a little ant running on my table. That's what he's suggesting. That number that he has is connected to Monsters Inc. You know, it just, because I know what is happening right now, especially with the whole situation with Isaac Kappy, I don't trust it at all. And in fact, the simple shit that I went and watched this morning, they're already starting to direct it to his indiscretions. The women that he sexually abused, that he's admitted to. And so all of that is good. So we're pretty soon, instead of talking about this child trafficking stuff that's going on in Hollywood, we're going to all focus on James Franco and his indiscretions. That's how this game always works. They always throw someone out there to discombobulate and baffle people with bullshit. That's how it works. I don't trust it at all. I don't trust it at all. You know? Oh, dude, he's on record actually speaking. And it's not me to name names for victims. They were in his acting class, and he's been interviewed and admitted this shit. But now they're in here because that's the whole thing about it is that the whole Isaac Kappy thing is starting to become, and they can't control it because people loved Isaac Kappy. So now you have James Franco, and he's talking in code and quatrain, and oh, I have something I have to tell you, but he doesn't say anything specifically. He just alludes to it. And that's why I don't trust it. The government is trying to actually direct all the shit away from the truth, you know? And so that's what's happening. That's what I think is happening. I don't trust it. It was too theatrical, you know? It was too set up. Who gives a fuck if he's a Democrat or if he's a Republican? Who gives a fuck? You want to know what? He takes money and they pay people. It's just a gig. That's what I think. It's a gig. I think that they're trying to use James Franco to distract from Isaac Kappy, who was naming names. Thomas Schoenberger is already on top of me this morning about Gabe Hoffman. I might have been first calling out Gabe Hoffman, but I wasn't as voracious about it as Isaac Kappy was. And it had nothing to do with Gabe Hoffman being Jewish or not. It had everything to do with the fact that he's involved with child trafficking. So is Thomas Schoenberger. So is Lucian Greaves, Mr. Johnny Dubb, Brian Word, whatever the fuck name he wants to give himself now, John Kilrush, you know, just, and so let me go through the whole list again, because I'm not going to talk in quatrains. I'm just fucking calling people out as I've known that they're involved. Michael Aquino. I don't believe Aquino is dead, personally. I believe Michael Aquino is the whole reason why Isaac Kappy ended up dead. You know? Dude, go fuck yourself. I'm just blocking people in this one. Because they're in here trying to hide their child trafficking bullshit, and it's coming out. All of it is coming out. There's no way to stop the tidal wave that's coming. So Michael Aquino, Thomas Schoenberger, Gabe Hoffman, Lucian Greaves, founder of the Satanic Temple, Titus Frost, Craig Sawyer. Then you have all of Sewertown who's involved. Corey Daniel, a.k.a. Phoenix Enigma, Alicia Ray, a.k.a. the Sicilian Witch, Jesse Davis, Paula Davis, Daniel Dowd, Geo Farnsworth, Tara Joyce, Brett Trimble, Manuel Chavez, a.k.a. DeFango. You start there, it'll take you to more, you know? I think most people are deluded by their cognitive dissonance. And I believe that the cognitive dissonance has nothing to do with fucking religion, dickhead. It's not Jewish. It's not Jewish. In Omaha, it was Catholic. When I was a kid, it was all Catholic. There were no Jews involved. It was Catholic. You know? Whatever. You're right. You're superior. You don't have cognitive dissonance. You know? The whole thing about it is that they're in here now because they want to shut me up. And I know a little bit about this whole Isaac Kappy thing because I was heavily involved with Isaac Kappy. I've been trying to expose the very people Isaac Kappy was trying to expose. You know? Everyone is stuck on their phones. Nobody gives a shit about God. God has become a fairy godmother. You pray to God when you want something. Otherwise, you know, that's how I see it a lot of times. Nobody would actually sacrifice for God. You know, I witnessed a lot. I witnessed all of the fucking child trafficking and the child murders that were going on in Omaha when I was a kid. I experienced the stuff with Isaac Kappy right before he got murdered, you know? And so, like, you know what the second century is. Oh my God. I have done stuff. I've been doing stuff. These blogs, I've contacted the FBI, the Department of Justice, cop shop after cop shop. Went and gave my DNA to Nebraska State Patrol cold case John Pankinen. I know they're just in here actually they're just as dumb as fucking rocks. And they use the same thing, you know? And I wasn't even involved at the end with Isaac. When we got into our argument, because he said he was harassing Mike Lucchino with 4 phone numbers, I did not talk to him after that. And then less than a week later, he had a round trip ticket to go to Australia, where he got involved with all of that blood diamond bullshit with Ella High Priest, you know? Sewer Town is online. It's a gaming program online, which is how they're targeting the kids, through gaming programs. But Pioneer Square, what this brave individual, he calls himself brave, but he's anonymous. They're talking Pioneer Square because there's a park 5 blocks away from my house. And guess what the fuck it's called? Pioneer Square. So your little obtuse threat, you can shove it straight up your fucking ass. Some people are brave. They're all anonymous. And they're so brave because they just hide. I don't have any time for it. And I certainly don't have any respect for it. Here I am, my face, my name, saying the same shit over and over and over and over again. You know? I don't live in a trailer, dude. I own my house outright, dickhead. Can you say the same fucking thing? I don't live in a trailer. Does this look like a trailer? I don't think so. And even if I did live in a trailer, who the fuck cares? There's nothing brave about covering up satanic ritual abuse, you know? No, what it is the whole thing about it is RCB is that I know that you guys are the pedophiles who are trying to hide. There's nothing wrong with the trailer. There's nothing wrong with the trailer. When I lived out in Algona, Washington, I bought a manufactured house that was bank foreclosed. Had a hole in the floor. You could see the grass. I bought it for $78,000. When I sold it 3.5 years later, I sold it for $230,000. So, you know, I'm always going to get trolled. That's what they do. And they're always anonymous. And they always think that they're actually doing something. I don't believe the whole thing with James Franco. Personally, I don't. I think that they're paying him. I think that they're worried that the whole stuff with Isaac Kappy is coming to the forefront. And it is. And you want to know why? Because Isaac Kappy's on the other side making sure it comes forward. As is Virginia Giuffre. That's the whole reason why the Epstein shit won't go away. That we keep getting stuff because they're working on the other side to bring all this shit out. You know? Listen to this guy's fake American accent. You are a dumb fuck. I was born in Omaha, Nebraska. I've never even been out of the United States, except a couple times in Toronto and once in Montreal. Just as dumb as a fucking rock. I'll take example. I'll take it, but then I'm just going to get rid of you because I'm not going to argue with this bullshit today. So now they want to talk about my accent, and now I'm a fake American. You know, I've been told by people out of the country that if I ever went and traveled out of the country to tell people I was Canadian and not to tell them I was American. Nobody wants to be seen as an American. We just had the biggest white trash celebration in the White House on the White House lawn yesterday. You know, biggest white trash thing. Just, you know, but I think that this situation with Isaac Kappy is coming out. And so now they're throwing, lots of stuff gives me happiness. You guys don't see my happiness because when I'm on here, I'm talking about awful, horrible people and awful, horrible shit. But this is my thing is catharsis. You know, I am you calling the UFC white trash. I am. Most definitely. And with all of your emojis, I have a feeling that you're Geo Farnsworth anonymously coming in here. Anonymously coming in here. What they did yesterday was reenact the Colosseum, the Roman Colosseum. And just like the Roman Empire fell, America is already fallen. Because that's basically what they did was just reenact the Roman Colosseum. I don't go to parties, dickhead. And do you think your emojis actually make you seem smarter? Because I assure you they don't. And I have a lot of little incels in here who are, some great America. Trump does not represent America. Look at his numbers. Look at his numbers. He's not even liked. The majority of Americans can't stand the dude. Yes. It's funny. Big KZ beats. That's what they say about everybody. Virginia Giuffre, she was crazy. Max Spears, he was a drug addict. Anyone who actually comes forward and actually calls this shit out, you always call them names. Oh, they're crazy. Oh, they're schizophrenic. Oh, they're drug addicts. That's what they were saying with all of the Epstein when they were kids. I mean, this group will go and say, oh, well, those 10-year-olds were whores. That they wanted to have sex with Jeffrey Epstein. I've listened to Kappy talk. He wasn't batshit crazy. You just don't like what he has to say. You just don't like what he has to say. And all you're doing is reiterate. You are basically solidifying my argument that they're trying to use James Franco to cover up the Isaac Kappy stuff. But I'm done arguing with that idiot. I just blocked him. Don't worry. These idiots seem to have a million different fake accounts. What if it was all true? Would you change your mind? And who would convince me? Thomas Schoenberger? Gabe Hoffman? Lucian Greaves? I've been at this for a long time. I know the fucking child trafficking bullshit exists. I've had to go through attack after attack after attack. They're just in line. They're just in line, But what it's doing is just showing what I've already been saying. They're using James Franco to actually distract from Isaac Kappy. They did cover up Clinton Epstein. They covered up the Trump Epstein. It doesn't. It's the rich that are involved. It doesn't make any difference what fucking title or what they identify with. It transcends political thing. It transcends religious things. It transcends all of that, This is basically a fight between good and evil. And they're fucking pedophile, child trafficking, child murdering. Think what you think they pulled those kids' teeth on that Epstein Island and then returned them to their parents? Is that what you think happened? What do you think happened in the what do you think happened in that temple at Epstein? Doesn't transcend God at all. And God is the one who's getting ready to deal with it. God is dealing with it. That's why it's all coming out. Everything that has been hidden in the shadows is now being brought out into the light. And they can't do a fucking thing to stop it. The cover up, you want to know what? The Clintons weren't in power in the 80s. George Bush was. It wasn't the Clintons. You know? It doesn't transcend God. It transcends religion. These motherfuckers will call themselves whatever they want. If they were Republican, but you busted them out for being a child trafficker, they would tell you that they were Democrat. Fuck Gabe Hoffman. I call him out for being a child trafficker, and he says I'm being anti-Semitic because he's Jewish. Doesn't have anything to do with your religious affiliation. It has everything to do with the fact that you're a fucking child trafficker. You know? Ronald Reagan. George Bush Sr. was before Ronald Reagan. You know? There are 2 times in my life that I haven't voted. When Trump was running against Hillary Clinton, I decided I didn't hate my fellow man enough to vote for either one of them. This last time, and then when Obama ran against Mitt Romney. Again, Mitt Romney, I looked him straight in the eye. He was soulless, and I hated Obama. For the whole reason when they called Omaha, Obamaha. You know? Every president is related except for one. Jimmy Carter wasn't involved. You know? No, George Bush Sr. was not president after Ronald Reagan. He was first. Oh my God, you're an idiot. And you think you're brilliant. That's the sad part about it. George Bush Sr. was first, then it was Ronald Reagan. Then it was George Bush Jr. It was all involved. You know? But what's ending up happening is that they want to come in here and actually kind of distract me away from what I'm saying. That's the whole game here. That's the reason why there's so many trolls in here. That's why at 9:45 on a Monday morning, they say that there's 37 people in here. You know? Oh my God. Ronald Reagan was not before George Bush Sr., dumbass. They want to distract. The fact is, I think that they're going to use James Franco to distract from Isaac Kappy. You know? They're all involved. Ronald Reagan had Alzheimer's when he was president. You know? Jimmy Carter was the only one that we've ever had that was worth the shit. But they're in here actually just trying to go, because it doesn't make any difference who the fuck was president when. They were all involved. George Bush Sr., ex-head of the CIA, was totally involved. Ronald Reagan, he went to Bohemian Grove. He was totally involved. Obama, I believe he was involved. The Clintons, definitely involved. Joe Biden, definitely involved. Donald Trump, definitely involved. There ain't not a fucking one of them that isn't involved, that hasn't been involved. You know? Well, I hear that Trump has reborn Jesus Christ. Well, your priest is a fucking idiot, and you're being led by the God, a false prophet. You know? The whole thing about it is that they're just trying to distract. It doesn't make any difference. Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush involved. You know, they were all involved. And the thing about it is that when you see what's going on in here, you can see that I am actually onto something. Because why else would they all be in here? I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. You know? I'm a nobody. And yet here they all are. And the reason why is because they'll do everything they can to distract from the fact that this whole neo-Nazi pedophile operation is getting exposed. It's all coming out into the light, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. Jesus does love me. Thank you, because I already know that. I'm well loved on the other side. I don't need anybody to validate that. And people can try to invalidate it all they want, but I don't care. You know? This child trafficking bullshit is all coming out. And what James Franco is doing is exactly what they did with QAnon. QAnon was all these quatrains. They were fucking little riddles and shit that didn't mean anything and could have meant anything you wanted it to mean. And that's what it was done. And then people just ate it up, you know, thinking, oh, no, I do not have 35 people here. I tell you what, Gator Bait, I'll make sure you don't come back. This child trafficking, and they're going to do whatever they can to actually distract anybody who comes forward and says all of this stuff and actually tries to expose it. This is what they do. And then they come in here and like a little anonymous assholes making little jabs and comments, because all it is to actually get people to think, oh, you can't listen to this dude. But it's not about me. It's about God, and they can't stop it. But this whole thing with James Franco is bullshit, and it won't go anywhere. When he starts actually naming names and not whispering into his camera while he's standing in his kitchen, you know, why whisper? If they can see you making videos and then they can't watch your videos on TikTok, you know, it doesn't even make any difference. And you've been in movies your whole fucking life, really. So you don't realize how it works? You don't realize that when you make a video, it's for people to watch that video and people know you're making the video, and you don't understand that. How many movies have you been in? But you don't understand any of that, right? You know? And that makes sense to the rest of you. Your cognitive dissonance has you by the short hairs. You don't believe, not because the facts aren't out there, not because you haven't been exposed to the facts. You don't believe because you don't want to believe. That's the choice you're making. And you find that if you don't make a choice, then you're not held accountable. But that's not how it works. We're accountable for what we know, what we do, and what we don't do. We're accountable. And you can give yourself whatever bullshit excuse you want to. It doesn't negate that responsibility. What is. And so that's how it works. But that's all I'm saying today. I'm going to actually do a live tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be, you know, I knew when I titled with James Franco, I haven't shaved because there's no reason for me to shave, you know? But you're right. The fact that I have stubble on my face is so much more important than this child trafficking bullshit. You're absolutely right. You know? You're absolutely right. The fact that I have gray hair, that's so much more important than fucking kids, right? That's so much more important. You know? Not going to get into a theological conversation. You know? Not going to get into it. And God isn't the one who actually, it was Baal, who liked the death of kids. Moloch liked the death of kids. But really, when it comes down to it, as far as the other side goes, death doesn't exist. It only exists on this side. And when you die, you just wake up on the other side and realize that death isn't real. Death isn't real. Nothing ends. Energy can be neither created nor destroyed. First law of physics, quantum physics. And so therefore, that's all I'm saying. I think that they're throwing out James Franco because all of this stuff with Isaac Kappy is coming forward, and you just saw in real time how desperate they are to make that happen. Because everyone has a soul, and all of our souls are God's. You know? And God doesn't die. We wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for our Father. You know? And so therefore, that's all I'm saying. You know? That's all I'm saying. Is that I bought into the James Franco stuff when I first saw it last night for the hopes that, oh, maybe someone is actually doing something. But then when I woke up this morning, I realized it's the same old shit that it always is. And of course, they chose a dude who has all kinds of allegations that he's come forward and said were true, of him being inappropriate with the women that he was trying to actually promote and all of that, you know? And so religion will never turn. I'm not religious. I'm not religious. I believe in the word. I definitely believe in God. You know, I'm sorry you don't. I couldn't do what I've done and been at this for as long as I have without faith. And so I'm sorry you don't have it. I'm sorry that you need some green person from space to validate your being in life. It's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard of, but hey, you know, if aliens were real and they came here, they would have already destroyed us. Flat out. If you have the technology to get here, because we're overpopulated and destroying everything we touch, you know? You can believe in the word and not be religious, dickhead. You know? That word is love. Do I adhere to everything in the Bible? No. The Bible is religious. The Quran is religious. You know? The Talmud is religious. But whatever. Of course I believe in Jesus. I believe in the word. But I also know that the story of Jesus isn't an original story. There was a story identical to it before the whole Christian. Jesus, you know? Trump is afraid of the Chinese because they've already said that they have all of the unredacted Epstein files and they're going to release them. That's the reason why Trump is afraid of China, because they're all afraid of those Epstein files. Rum Runner, you're just another anonymous fuck trying to actually distract from the conversation at hand. Because me being religious or not religious, blah, 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 doesn't negate the fact that there is a child trafficking fucking operation going on that needs to be exposed. That's what it is. And these theological conversations that you're trying to drag everyone into doesn't negate the fact they just busted a neo-Nazi fucking pedophile child extortion ring at Iowa State University. Because he gets paid to come in here. God knows it could be Thomas. It could be one of Sewer Town. Geo is in here. They'll do anything they can to distract from their pedophile operation. That's it. They'll do everything they can. Anything they can think of, they will distract from their pedophile operation. I tell you what, I'll just blank you out. Down-tuned devil. You realize that you realize I'm not anonymous, right? You realize that the name up there is my name, you know? That it's my face. I'm not anonymous. Obviously, you need to look up the anonymous, you know? They're in here actually just trying to distract from everything. They don't want people focused on their child extortion, child trafficking operations. That's what they don't want. You know? Hey, Shane. So that's what they don't want. But I'm not going to be on here. Yesterday was on for 2 hours. It was a really nice time yesterday. There was good conversation. I usually don't do two. Today, I want to keep it under 45 minutes. Otherwise, people, you know, people aren't going to listen forever. They're, you know, but again, all of this bullshit is being done. All of this stuff you just all witnessed this morning. It's all them trying to protect their child trafficking neo-Nazi bullshit. That's what they're trying to do. Oh, pray. Thank you, George. Every time I come on here, you guys have to remind me because sometimes I get really irritated. You know, heaven, I come to you. I hope that people just hear the words and bypass the irritation. It's hard to be day in, day out, being attacked all the time and not have irritation, not be have an emotional reaction sometimes. But you also realize that I have things to do, and once I get involved with the other things, I won't even be thinking about this stuff. And so I just hope that you help people hear my words and realize that all of the games and attacks and the insults, all from these anonymous idiots, are all to distract from their pedophile operation. And I am just begging you to expose them. All of their traps, let them be ensnared in them. Tommy keeps emailing me. I keep telling him, just reply all, because I just send it to the cops anyway. And he just keeps sending it to me and his little friend Chris McKimsey Jones, you know? But I'm not anonymous. I'm right here on the forefront of all of this. I don't hide shit. Excuse my language while I pray. But you know that, Father. And I love your Son, Jesus Christ, who came down and taught us the word and lived a life for us to best emulate. And I think it's grand and that all glory goes to you. And I pray for those who have no faith because I don't see how they make it through life. That's just me. I would be nothing without you. I would be nothing without the teachings of your Son, our brother Jesus Christ. I would be nothing without the word. My path would have taken a much darker turn had I not sought you out and you hadn't sought me out. And I just humbly and from the depth of my soul want to say thank you. And all glory goes to you and your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Being raised to be the vessel for the Antichrist. What saved me was Jesus Christ and the teachings of Jesus Christ. I've been at this for a long time. And I will tell you that I have met many victims of this, and the only ones who seem to be able to cope in life is because they sought out Jesus Christ and sought out the word. Those who haven't never really got away. And so that's my personal experience. And I am not going to apologize for having faith at all. I feel sorry for those who don't, honestly. I'm able to do what I've been able to do because of my faith. I believe in the teachings of Jesus Christ without a doubt. I believe in the word with my whole heart and soul. And for those people who do not believe, but it's funny how when I started praying, I went from 40 to 20. You know, they don't like prayer. Thank you, George, for reminding me to pray. That's the word for all of you guys. Always remind me. If I'm getting ready to finish this and I haven't prayed, please remind me. 2 or more are gathered in my name. And we don't have to be physically gathered. Consciously is what counts. Have you ever stood in a room all with a million people and still felt alone? You know, it's the consciousness. And I just hope you guys see beyond my anger. I'm irritated. I had to wake up this morning and had to deal with Tommy already. Tommy Schoenberger. I had him and Johnny Dubb had emailed me and that Chris McKenzie Jones over and over and over and over. I woke up this morning to probably 17 emails. It might not have been 17, but it was a lot. It was a lot. Oh, and that reminds me, for those of you who go to my blog and read an article, if I publish the article that day, you probably will want to come back and check that you don't fit a million people in a room. But you know what I'm saying. You know, you can be in a room full of people and still be alone. Feel more alone in that room full of people than you do. I feel sometimes more alone in a room full of people than I do just by myself. You know, I don't know how you fit a million people in the room. That was kind of an over exaggeration. But anyway, so just keep checking back. I will, if I publish a blog entry that morning, like today, this morning, I'm sure I'm going to get a zillion more fucking emails from Thomas Schoenberger, Chris McKenzie Jones, and Johnny Dubb. I'm sure I'm going to just get email after email after email after email after email. So all I'm doing is screenshotting them and adding it to the bottom. So if you go on my post and it's that, and I published it that day, you're going to want to check back because I'll add to it throughout the day as the shit transfers. Because I'm done setting up brand new posts for everything all the time. You know, I'm just going to keep adding to the one that I do. So I'll have one post a day. So if you go click on that post, you know, thank you, George. You too. I wasn't irritated when I got on here, but do have to admit that, but I have a lot of yard work to do. So as I'm pulling weeds and cleaning up plants, I will not be thinking about these child trafficking fucking pedophiles. I'll be thinking about the stuff that's in front of me. I didn't clean my gutters yesterday, but I did cook that roast and it was delicious. I was very happy with it. Roast, I put potatoes in there with it, and then I made some corn. It was delicious. But I won't be thinking about these pedophiles for the rest of the day. And really, when it comes down to it, I don't even really read their emails long enough for me to take screenshots. So my brain, because I read so fast, skims over some of it. But for the most part, I'm not going to chase down their stupid shit. I'm just not. It's meant to be a time waster. And I have better things to do with my time. honestly. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.